Hello. Good morning for an early flight from Vancouver to Portland. The flight is about 220 nautical miles and we are just ready for taxi. Fuel on board 6.2, altimeter 3008. Auto brakes on, rejected takeoff, and flaps 5 are set. Let's go. As you can see, the taxiway is dead easy today. It's straight on with a little turn to the right and to the left at the end of this taxiway. Taking off runway 08 left. The Vancouver 9 departure, which is basically vectors. So we will fly runway heading, and at 10 nautical miles from Vancouver we will turn right to intercept the Vancouver 159 radial. So here comes the turn to the right. Let's slow a little. For the turn, 10 knots is ideal. And right. So we turn right on Juliet and left on Mike. Here's Mike. And at the end of the taxiway we have the holding point 08 left. So some VOR on the route, of course, Vancouver, Yankee Victor Romeo, Olympia, Oscar Lima Mike, Battleground, Bravo Tango Golf, and Charlie Bravo Uniform at the destination. Outside temperature +5 degrees, so we might use the engine anti-ice for the climb out. So let's do that. Engine anti-ice on. Thrust at idle. So we see the lights of the runway. And we are already approaching the holding point, so we can switch some lights on. Runway turn off, strobe lights can be on. Start ignition switches to continuous. So the runway is a long runway, so we are doing derated takeoff 1 with an assumed air temperature of 35 degrees. So maximum thrust will be 90.6 and 1. Here comes the holding point. So, landing lights on, cleared for takeoff, runway 08 left, lining up with the runway. So runway heading is 084 degrees. So local time 5:25. We might see the sunrise. It was a little bit wide. Okay, thrust at 50%, forward pressure, takeoff power set. Slightly more.
80 knots.
Release back pressure.
V1, rotate.
Rotate. 5 degrees, 10 degrees
Positive
pitch.
rate.
Flaps 2.
400.
Flaps 1.
1000.
1000 feet, reduced thrust. And autopilot on. Auto thrust on. Select speed 230. So we have the Vancouver on nav 1. 7.4 should go to 10.3. On a 039 radial from Vancouver. So the intersection is at the waypoint AGNAD, Alpha Golf November Alpha Delta. If I put the gear up, it will accelerate a little. Flaps up. Flaps up, no light, auto brake off and gear off. 9.3, 1 mile to go. And at AGNAD we turn right on the heading 220. .3, turning right, 220.
1000 to go.
and on that heading we will intercept the Vancouver 159er. We are level at 6,000 feet, so that is probably waiting for the ATC to clear up for the flight level 210. So the next VOR after Vancouver is Olympia, and Olympia is tuned on nav2, but we do not have the signal yet. We can now accelerate to 250. So the VOR needle is slowly approaching the center. We are nearly at a 2 dots deviation. So we are nearly abeam the VOR, 90 degrees angle with our flight path, and now the DME will start to increase again. Engage forelock, and we are turning to the radial 159er. So remember, when we are flying away from a VOR, we are flying a radial. If we are flying to the VOR, we are flying a course. needle is coming back again, so this time we are intercepting from the right with a 10 degrees angle. Still no sign of the Olympia VOR, so we're still flying with the radial from Vancouver, and we are nearly on that radial. We have a small wind of 12 knots, headwind. Okay, we have received the clearance, so we climb to flight level 210. After Olympia, we continue with a heading 155, and we just received the Olympia signal, so let's go to heading mode, switch VOR to Olympia. We identify Olympia, Oscar Lima Mike, adjust slightly the course and select VOLOC. After Olympia, we will have battleground. So we can tune battleground 11660, and the next one is Portland 10920 Charlie Bravo uniform. So passing now 10,000 feet, we can extinguish the landing lights, runway turn-off lights, taxi lights, start switches to off, logo light off, wheel well off, seatbelt signs auto.
Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to observe the fasten seatbelt sign until the captain has switched it off. We do recommend for your comfort and safety that you keep your seatbelt securely fastened throughout your flight. There is a call bell, reading light and fresh air vents in the panel just above your head, and we'd like to remind you that this is a strictly non-smoking flight and all toilets are fitted with smoke detectors. We invite you to sit back, relax and enjoy your flight with us.
And we increase the speed to 285, climb speed. passing now 16,000 feet for flight level 210. Feet to go. Oh, cabin altitude is climbing nicely, so APU bleeder can go off. Cabin temperature 24 degrees. Now engine anti-ice, I suppose, could come off now. Still some clouds there, but it seems that we will be above, so let's select engine anti-ice off. And we do have the signal from battleground at 150 nautical mile. So here we have a choice, but depending on the ATC, of course, we could go direct battleground, or we wait till we passed Olympia and then turn towards battleground. Let's select this second option, as the flight is very short, so
1,000 to go.
we should not make it shorter further. 1,000 feet to go, and it seems that we have a sunrise rising on the left. Ooh, not too bad. So we remain on the Olympia VOR, and it's 68 nautical mile to go. So we are level at flight level 210. We can select VNAV to have the VNAV speed 301 knots. So Portland information that we have is wind is 120 at 4, altimeter 3009er, and we are looking for runway 10 right. Let's check the arrival. 10 right ILS, no stars programmed. We go for flaps 30, approach, speed 142. Runway length is long again, over nearly 11,000 feet. And the ILS identification is India Papa Delta X-ray on 10.5 and 104 on the heading. Time at destination 15:15, 148 nautical mile. So 15:15, that is 25 minutes from now. So we should start the descent at 63 nautical mile from the runway, so we can put that information already using fix page. Runway 10 right and 3 rings, one at 4 miles, one at 10 miles and one at 20 miles. So we have the top of descent circle just after Olympia VOR, will be 10 miles after. Olympia 46.5 nautical mile. So we can go with an auto brakes 2. So at Olympia 40 nautical mile we can go to heading select, switch to battleground 116.6, adjust the course, let's say 150 and select the forelock. Now intercepting that course towards battleground. After battleground we have Portland on 109.2, and then we can select the ILS on nav2 on 110.5 in the standby frequency. So heading for the ILS is 104. So at 10 nautical miles from battleground on a waypoint ROARK, Romeo Oscar Alpha Romeo Kilo, we'll turn right on heading 209 and wait for the battleground 275 at 10 nautical mile. Then we turn left on 161 to intercept the ILS. and Portland VOR Charlie Bravo uniform is received. DME 110 nautical mile. So we can already select the altimeter as 3009 in the preset mode. So the top of the sand is in less than 40 miles. Let's check if we have some altitude constraint for the arrival. So ROARK is the point when we exit, and we can remove this discontinuity. At MAHKE we turn left to intercept the ILS. That is correct. So it seems there are no hard constraints. So let's shoot for 6,000 feet at ROARK. That should be good enough. And we are just about to pass the OLM VOR, 4 nautical mile. And we already see the extended runway center line, or the 104 radial. So for the descent, we will deselect VNAV, reduce the speed to about 250 knots, and descend to 6,000 feet, and we should be at 6,000 feet by ROARK. So VNAV has commanded a new speed of 287, and that is the speed we will use for the descent, so that VNAV will use. So here comes the message that we should decrease the altitude on the MCP. So we will descend to 6,000 feet, but we will not use the VNAV. In fact, we can descend at 67, so disengage VNAV and let's use a more reasonable speed for the descent. 180, and we descend. Let's put terrain information on nav and navigation display 2. See if we have some terrain we should avoid. Doesn't seem like. Passing flight level 190 for 6,000 feet. So at 18,000 feet we can set altimeter 3009. Now we have the green arc on the ND indicating the point where we will be level at 6,000 feet, and that precisely just before ROARK. Let's already then reduce the speed to 240 as a target speed. So we continue on flight idle descent. And also preset the heading that we will use at ROARK 209. We can also tune now the ILS on nav 1, 110.5 in the standby frequency. So below 150. See if we can reduce the descent. Probably yes, to help with reducing the speed. Otherwise we will have to use some speed brake, but for the moment it is not required. So battleground 35, and we exit at ROARK 10 miles before battleground. So the altimeter is set, auto brake is set. We can put the seatbelt signs on, and in a few moments we can select the landing lights on when we pass 10,000 feet. So the outside temperature is -7, no clouds, so we do not require the engine anti-ice. Speed 253, passing 11,000 feet for 6,000 feet. So battleground 22 nautical miles. So in 12 nautical miles we turn right on the heading 209. We are now 251, still reducing. Now approaching 250. So this is good. At MAHKE we should be at 4,000 feet, so but let's see what it gives at 6,000 as speed, because of course we need to reduce much further. Now we are a little bit on the high side for the speed, so let's deploy the spoilers to reduce to 240. probably we can
1,000 to go.
reduce to 1400. So let's also already select 220 knots on the speed, reduce to 1200 feet per minute the descent, and continue to 4000 feet. So battleground is 11.6. In 1 mile we turn left, we turn right. Confused now, left and right. 1 mile. .3. Let's turn 209. We descend to 4000 feet. And at that heading we should intercept the battleground 275. 275. At 10.5 nautical mile.
$1,000 to go.
So battleground still reducing, and you can see that we are nearly at 90 degrees, and that's the moment the DME will start to increase again. So 7 miles is probably the minimum. So 6-9. We are leveling at 4000 feet, and speed is now reducing to 220 knots. So at MAHKE we turn left on 161 degrees to intercept the ILS runway 10 right. And we are already on the 275, but a little early. As you can see, we are a little bit on the left of the path, so we just maintain that heading a little further. .2. We should go to 10.5. .5, 1 mile to go. And we can descend to 3,100 feet.
$1,000 to go.
And let's reduce the speed to 180. 10.5, turning left 161. The ILS 104. Select ILS on nav1. Identify India Papa Delta X-ray correct. 14 dME. Continue turning left 134, 135, and ROARK. Flaps 1. Runway inside. Flaps 2. Flaps 5. Approach mode armed. Reducing to 160. And descending with the glide. Auto throttle off. Thrust at 40%. .7 at 10 dME we can probably select gear down. We are descending already with the ILS gear down. Gear down 3 greens, flaps 15. We maintain 160. Passing 2,100 feet, 8 miles from the runway. So the airport elevation is 23 feet. Seven miles. Miles, flaps 25. We can reduce to 150. Flaps 30. $1,000 feet. Autopilot off. Continue the descent. Speed 147 is good. Two whites, two reds, a little bit low on the ILS.
500.
Again, two whites, two red, perfect.
400.
On the glide 2.
300.
144, a little low on the speed.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Closing thrust. And a better landing. Fantastic. Reverses. That merit an applause from the jury.
80 knots.
Stow the reverses. Yes, indeed.
Thank you for flying Ryanair. Last year, over 90% of our flights arrived on time.
Flaps up.
We hope you enjoyed yours, and we look forward to welcoming you on board again soon. Ryanair. Low fares, made simple.
So we can exit on the left here.
For your own comfort and safety, please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the captain has
Might
switched
use the
off
speed a little.
Please refrain from smoking.
10 knots is probably good enough.
Designated smoking area,
15
which is
knots.
outside the terminal building. On behalf of your crew on board today, we'd like to thank you for choosing to fly with us, and we wish you a safe onward journey.
So exiting the runway, landing lights off. I didn't set the landing light. Completely forgot. Turning left. Well, it's daytime. So flaps up, lights off. We have started the APU, I think, yes. We can strobe lights off. We can still put taxi light on for a short period. Ooh, rather pleased with that. Flight director off. And we can turn right on Bravo 5 to go to the stand. Terrain off. We can turn right to the stand. Taxi lights off. A little bit in the way, so So we stop here. Parking brakes on. APU gen on. And engine number 1 off. Engine number 2 off. N1 decreasing. Fuel pumps off. Now let's watch for that replay. APU bleeder, engine bleeder can come off too. Let's do the APU bleeder on. Pitot heat off. Electric engine off. IRS off. Packs off. And seatbelt signs off. Okay, while the passenger disembark, we can replay this wonderful arrival. Okay, let's go from here. Here we had 3 red, so it was a little low. Flaring. Oof. That's beautiful. Okay.
25.
Let's stop here. Exit the replay. Don't believe this 0 FPM for the flare. That's not what it was. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Portland. Local time is 6:26. Zulu time 15:26. So tomorrow we're going to San Francisco. See you tomorrow.